How about you?
Luca Nation, the Fractional Report before opening bell, sponsored by Collectable, episode 651 of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. And I mean, we might as well title this episode "Don't Buy into the Hype." Don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the hype. That's what I'd recommend. As NBA playoffs gears up, the only thing I could really speak with tremendous amount of certainty is modern NBA, because that is the stuff I know, Gage.
Okay.
And I would say, playing game, Trae Young, 32 points in the second half. Last week, his flawless card was down. This week, it bounced back up. But we're going to see this in other players as we see outer-worldly performances, whether that's Durant, whether that's Curry, whether that's, other guys that are on the platform. Don't overreact. Don't buy into the hype. That's my one recommendation. Tatum, etc. So, Cage, welcome to the show. How you doing? Happy Easter, guys. Happy holidays. We wish you all the best.
I mean, listen, happy Easter to the crew. It's another, fractional report before the opening bell, brought to you by Collectable. I don't know, man. It was a fun day. Had some good food. Watched my favorite South Park episode, The Hair Club for Men.
Step one, steal underpants. Step three.
No, that's the Underwear Gnomes. This one is the Easter special, where Stan Marsh is, he's part of the Hair Club for Men. He's protecting the secrets of the church. I have to take a pause for a second because anyone watching on YouTube would be asking this. I have to ask. Are you in your normal hotel routine already?
No.
Okay. All right, good. Andrew has a routine when he gets into hotels. So, I just got to check. He likes hotels. He likes to get comfortable in hotels.
Hotels in America don't open their windows. It's ridiculous. So, golf was the biggest gainer. Golf was the biggest gainer over the last week.
Well, you called it. You called golf, right?
It was on the back of the $5 million sale.
Yeah, that's it. That's the deal. 100%. You called it. And people were paying attention, right? You had the Masters last week. Tiger involved in the Masters is always something that brings a spotlight, brings attention to it. People now know that who the number one golfer in the world is. He happened to, be golfing and win the Masters, and people didn't even know his name because people were just betting on Tiger. So no surprise on the golf. Can I tell you what stuck out to me the most this week on the data? We used to do, remember Star Stock? We used to do an episode of Star Stock, and the fractional stuff has not mirrored that. But it used to be, I used to come on and do the weekly Star Stock stuff and say, okay, everybody pay attention to the stuff that is really down this week, because people like to overreact. And when it's really down the following week, those things pick up. Now, one of my plays last week was the Trae Young flawless RPA. And it was just down a lot the week before. Remember, it was the number 3 decliner last week. It was down like 40-something% last week. And, Trae got his team into the playoffs. They, won the 2 play-in games. So obviously that's good. Although, by the time we're recording this, he and his team did not look so spectacular today against the Heat. I will tell you that much. But if you look at the top 3 gainers for the week, did you look these over? The top 3 gainers are the Durant high school jersey, the
108%,
the Bird Magic scoring leaders basket,
up 78%,
and the Trae Young flawless,
up 77%.
Now, why it's funny that those were the number 1, 2, and 3 gainers this week is because they were the number 1, 2, and 3 decliners last week.
You know what that tells me, Cage? That tells me that there's not just, collectors on the platform. There are people that are sitting there waiting, watching the market, and trading the chart as much as they're trading the asset.
Correct. 100%. 100% correct. And, it's an interesting thing. And you see some profit being taken. And if you look in the number 3 decliner, it's one to look at. I happen to like the card. It checks a lot of boxes for me. The Dan Marino 1984 Topps Rookie Basket BGS 10, the best of 2 of them per season.
Who's your modern comp for Marino? Rodgers?
Modern day comp for Marino is going to be very difficult. Who would be the most stationary quarterback in the NFL right now. Brady, I mean,
Brady wins.
It is a forgotten art, right? Marino had an absolute cannon of an arm, but he could not move. He was a statue. He was a different type of quarterback, a quarterback that would stand in the pocket and not scramble and not run, but had a gun, just an absolute cannon of an arm. And I mean, Marino, you can see he had knee braces and just hobbling all over the place. It is a very different game that's being played today, where the quarterbacks have to scramble and get out of the pocket and that kind of stuff. I mean, I can't compare anyone to Brady, right? Because Brady's the GOAT. It's a difficult comparison because I'm trying to think of a quarterback that just doesn't move at all. And there aren't any. It's not today's game. Ben Roethlisberger.
Just
but
Ben
was big.
Do you think? So I guess, why do you like this? Because you've brought this up on our regular episodes before, but he doesn't
Marino?
get the final box of winning.
Correct. Well, why I bring him up this week is he was a number 3 decliner, but if you look a little bit deeper into it, the card was down 15% this week, but it had a really strong open to trading this past week. It was actually up 40%. And it may be just initial investors in it who are taking some gains out, and maybe people who, like you said, are playing the chart. But if you look at the chart on that Marino basket, you can see there was a lot of, like one of these up-down kind of things. So I only bring that one up now, not because I think, wow, you got to get in it, but I think it hammers home the point that you're trying to make. It's not just people who are investing and trying to buy in long term. I think it's people who are playing with the chart, and people who saw it go up and take their profits. And now it went from up 40% to down 15%, and one of the bigger decliners of the week, all in the same week. Interesting chart.
I want to talk about this. So I actually came in here, Cage. It's a very serendipitous trip. So if you guys don't know, I'm driving down to Florida from Philly. And Cage, I literally turned on the TV, didn't change the channel, and on the History Channel, I was talking about the junk wax era in sports cards.
Wow. Look at
that. And something I would take a look at, guys, is real art. Like, when people ask, are we in the first inning, fifth inning, I think it also matters which card are we talking about, right? The Zion Prism base, we might be in the 8th or 9th and even extra innings on that card. But when it comes to the Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner's, Babe Ruth, these like one-of-one pieces, like one for example, is the E98 Ty Cobb PSA 10, right? So that card the last 3 weeks is down 5%, 5%, and 3%. So basically 3% and that 13%. That's a lot for a card of this magnitude. So I would be looking at, like, this is a kind of, you buy a share of the Mona Lisa. This is, you buy a share of the Picasso. And these you don't have to ever go all in on. These, when you see something like this, you listen to our show, you're first to kind of react. And you see down 13% the last 3 weeks. You dollar cost average, buy $100 worth, $200 worth in a card like this, because there's not many of them. There's not a ton of black swamp finds that are coming. So I wanted to point people's attention as, the Corey Seager orange refractor basket's up an astonishing 320% in the last month, and he's batting incredibly well. Well, Ty Cobb is down 13%. Is it kind of like the time to not overreact and, again, trade the chart, but also trade the collectible underneath, the asset underneath?
Yep. No, I mean, listen, I love it. And, it doesn't just apply to, to those art type pieces, but you want to have something that's a little more rare, right? You don't want to, like, you're comparing it to the Zion to the Ty Cobb, right? It doesn't just have to be something that's 100 years old. Look at the Ronald Acuna rookie that's on the platform, right? Remember, there was a $35,000 buyout offer that was declined.
Yes, sir.
Right, and I know we talked about it. It was like, really, they're going to decline a $35,000 buyout offer, right? Well, do you see what it's trading at? Current trading price $33.8, so slightly below the buyout offer. We're talking about the Acuna. I don't know if you're able to pull it up or not.
That's what I'm doing now. I apologize.
It's the BGS 95. You can take a look.
For you guys that aren't baseball nuts, like, Acuna hasn't played a game this season. He just got kind of like moved up in his rehab from an ACL injury, but he hasn't played a game yet. So it's really interesting. I'm not a believer in the guy, but not because he's not good. I just think sometimes these cards in baseball get ahead of themselves, regardless of if the guy comes out and even hits 300 with 5 home runs in 10 games. Like sometimes the cards get ahead of it, but I'll pull it up and go for it. Give me your take on it.
Yeah. So there are 50 of these. It's numbered to 50, and there are not that many. Gorgeous card. Not that many 9.5 with 10 autos. Now, keep in mind, not every 9.5 is the same, right? This one on Collectable, I believe, which is currently trading at a market price of 33.8, just under 35. I believe it has a 9. I believe it is a min gem. You could take a look at the holder. I think the centering on it is a 9.
Yep.
Right? Okay. But 35 buyout offer, 33. PWCC just had a 9.5 with a 10 auto end. Now, it was all 9.5s in 110, right? So better than a quad 9.5. You want to take a guess what it sold for last night in PWCC? Now we're talking about the same 9.5, 10, except instead of a 9, right? This one has 3 9.5s and a 10.
40.
Buyout offer of 35, and this one's trading at 33.8. 40 would be reasonable. $57,600. So again, guys, $57,600. Recent buyout offer of $35,000. You have a comp, not an identical comp. That's what makes it tough with these BGS with the subgrades. This is a 9.5, 10, but all at least 9.5. But $57,600 for that card. Well, let's talk about it. Why don't you get it? I mean, this is one of those things where gold is in vogue, right? Gold is what people are chasing. There's only 50 of them. This is one of the better 50 because it's a 9.5 with a 10 auto. He is an up-and-coming star. People didn't get to see him at the end of last year. It's his team now, and,
Yeah, I think that was a compelling argument. I don't understand prospecting baseball. I don't follow it enough. I guess you could. It's tough, man. It's tough to compare baseball. If you don't watch it, you don't know, right? It's one of those sports. If you don't watch it, you don't know, and you shouldn't comment. What has he really done to deserve $50,000 for a guy who had one good year?
I mean, it's valid. The other end of the spectrum, which is crazy, and I'm going to really drive Andrew nuts on this now, right, is we have to hit it home a second week in a row. I don't know what is going on here. I don't know what the story was, but if you go back now 2 episodes ago, there was a Babe Ruth 1948 Leaf PSA 8 without the markers that sold on PWCC auction, remember, for $102,000. And we came on and we talked about how there's an SGC 8 on Collectable for trading for less than half of that. Now, last week, remember, the SGC 8 is a really nice 8 on Collectable. It's the only one that has a PWCC identifier on it, right? The PSA 8 didn't. And we came on last week and said Golden had a PSA 8 sell for $45,600, which was surprising because a PSA 8 previously sold the week before for $102,000. Now, obviously,
do you think it has something to do with it being such a niche card? It's not really his rookie. What happened at that 108 is an outlier because there's 3 guys bidding for it.
But here's why, right? But 102, you'd think at least there's a couple of other people bidding that. But yeah, I mean, it's a really nice card. You name it. I thought maybe the Golden auction at 40-something, it might have snuck through, right? And think, okay, maybe that's the outlier because it is a gorgeous card and the whole deal. PWCC had an SGC 8 end last night. Now, the borders are really nice. The centering's really nice. The registration's a little off on the 8. You can see it's a little blurry, so it's not the greatest copy. It's definitely not as nice as the one on Collectable. But now we have another comp. And I was watching it to see whether or not it was going to end closer to that 100,000 or the 40,000 and see which one was the outlier. You want to take a guess what this one ended at, the SGC 8, Ruth?
36.
$33,600.
Wow.
$33,600 for an SGC.
We've seen a lot of manipulated comps recently, Cage.
I mean, I wonder if that 102. Bless you, Pravda. See that? You say those manipulated comps? You're obviously speaking
We
truth.
saw it with the Marvel. With the Marvel PMGs.
Yeah, so you have that Leaf. And then what's interesting about it is the first one that sells is the high. And then you have two that sell right on its heels. So it's almost like were they trying to establish a higher price for it because there were two other ones coming? It's odd. It's a weird thing. I don't think I will ever know what the deal is with it. But I will tell you, as high as we were on this card in the SGC 8 a couple weeks ago because of a $102,000 comp, you now have two more comps that are in the 40s and in the 30s. So, be mindful of that, and be careful as you're bidding on that card. It's just one of those things. I had what we're going to call a faux pas last week, if you remember. I didn't realize a mistake, a little, like a little hiccup. If you remember, I didn't realize that Golden had 3 days on their auction, and we talked about the mega cracks Messi and how it had a trading price of in the 60s. And I said, whoa, well, one ended on Golden PSA 9 and it ended at $28,000. That's ridiculous. It's going to be less than half of the $65,000 that it's being traded on Collectable. But I was wrong. They were still bidding. But I come to you this week after that bidding ends and say it only sold for $36,000. The PSA 9 only sold for $36,000. So it is a comp you should be mindful of because the trading price of the Messi mega cracks PSA 9 is at $64,400 on Collectable. And if you want a second comp on that, PWCC had the same Messi end last night, but in BGS 9. So obviously it's not an exact comp, right? But if the PSA 9 sold for 36, let me just make sure I got the right number, in gold at 36, what do you think a BGS 9 of the same, this is a 2004 Mega Cracks Messi. BGS 9, obviously, it's not going to sell for much of this. $13,200 for a BGS 9. So, guys, I bring you this just to be mindful on these because you now have a card trading PSA 9 on Collectable at $64,000. You have the same card, PSA 9, selling at Golden last week for 36, and a BGS 9, which is not exactly comparable, but it's trading for basically 20% of the value of a PSA 9. So be careful on that one. I'm trying to think of some other comps from PWCC. This one was a little bit better. I was a little nervous about this card because the Durant Refractor rookie that's out of $14.99 PSA 10. It's at $25.5 on Collectable, but there was an alt comp, I believe, last week that was only like 16 and change. One sold at PWCC for $20,000, $20,400. So it's a little more in line with what's going on in Collectable. I kept an eye on that one because 16 was definitely low when you compare that to the 25 that's out there. Lots of stuff going on with the PWCC.
So I have two things for people to take a look at. So first thing, let me give you guys just a quick Tiger Woods update. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a huge sale. If you guys don't know, if you don't listen to last week's episode, from his 2001 winning season. I think it was from him winning the Masters. I could be wrong, but anyway, it sold for $5.1 million at Golden Age Golf Auctions. And here's some updates. So his SI. That card hasn't moved. That's your favorite card. It's Sports Illustrated for Kids, 96 PSA 10. Hasn't moved. His 01 Authentic SP BGS 9.5 didn't move either. I find that very interesting. I really do. I think Tiger, despite all of his flaws, I think he's going to be culturally relevant for a long time. I think there's a lot to his story we don't know. I think Tiger's an interesting play. And there's two things that you guys might be able to get into for early access is 96 Greater Milwaukee Open full ticket and the LA First PGA event full ticket. Again, we've talked about tickets on yesterday's episode, and it's you don't know the true pop on these. Please remember that. If there's his putters from 2001 winning his Masters, how many of them are there, Cage?
There's only going to be one that he won the Masters with. He doesn't have too many putters, I'm sure. But yeah,
Right.
I mean,
There's only one.
And definitely not many that come up for sale. He's probably got a few of them himself. He probably gave them to the family members and stuff like that. It's pretty rare.
Here's where I would look. When I see cards get a little bit ahead of themselves, is what we're seeing here. Kind of across the board, comps are higher than recent auctions. You know what I would start looking at, Cage? And there's an opportunity with this wax. So 419. So what's that? Tuesday. There's early IPO. There's access to the National Treasures basketball set, the 3X. So there's one from 2017, one 2018, one 2019. And it's got a lot of players. You got Ja in there. You got Zion. You got Tatum. You got Luka. You got a ton of people in there. I would take a look at wax because what I've seen is when prices get a little bit ahead of themselves on singles, wax is soon to follow. So take a look.
I like it. Can I talk about a different topic and get your take on it? And it's relevant, obviously, for what we have here. Guys, be mindful of the overall market, right? Especially on things that have run. And it doesn't make a difference what the asset is. It doesn't make a difference what the asset class is. When things run too much, it's healthy for there to be a pullback. You have to understand there's going to be a pullback there. And certain items have not pulled back enough yet.
Okay.
Right? And they're starting to pull back. If you look at Michael Jordan's cards, right? His rookie card from first quarter of last year was much higher than it is now. It's still sort of finding a bottom. The one on Collectable is at $300,000, the 86 Fleer PSA 10. Last night, one sold for $240, inclusive of the buyer's premium. Seems to be the floor for that card. $240, $250, a $200,000 or $210,000 bid, and then buyer's premium seems to be where those sell at when they come up now, unless you have a really nice one.
Okay.
Those cards have come down. They ran up a lot. They were, 100, 150, 200, 300, and then went to 700. And they've spent the better part of a year pulling back. Kobe Bryant, same type of thing.
Crushed.
Huge up and then down, right? Almost across the board. If you had an index for Kobe Bryant, you'd see that. Tom Brady, he's still playing. Still playing, okay? And what I've noticed is that prior to the last couple of months, he had not had that pullback that everybody else had. He had that 100% run-up year over year, which is just not exactly the healthiest thing in the world. Okay. And look, he's going to start playing again, you name it. But be mindful of some of the sales of his cards. I'll start right at the top, right? So the Playoff Contenders Championship ticket art piece, just like you talked about, right? The one that's out of 100, the BGS 85, just a really, really nice card. Obviously one that is made for Fractional because it is a 7-figure card on its worst day now. The one on Collectable is trading just below $2 million. It's 1.95, 1,956,000, right? It set records last year. It was over $2 million, 2.1-ish for the record price, all right? More of them have come up for auction since. And Tom Brady retired, didn't have the greatest end to the playoffs, and now he's going to come back, and who knows what he's going to do. So I watch these things, and it wouldn't surprise me, a card like this that was, a few $100,000, then up to $1 million, and then ran from $1 million to $2 million to see a little bit of a pullback on this. And normally when you're talking about cards that are 7 figures, okay, they're not going to have that kind of pullback. But from a percentage standpoint, take a look at this now, right? This card, which is at $1,956,000, the same card sold last night in PWCC. Same BGS 85 out of 100. Now, it didn't sell for $500,000. It's still a 7-figure card. But the ending price, including the buyer's premium, was 1.47. $1,470,000, which is still great. I would still love to have it. I would trade every card in my collection for it. Maybe it would be close. We'll see. But point being, I don't really like Brady, so maybe I would.
I would actually predict that, let's say there's 3 more similar ones come up for auction. We see a 1, 2, 1, 3 range before it goes back to 2.
I think I agree with you entirely. I think it's the point that I'm making on Brady that hasn't seen the same type of pullback that some of these other players have.
The pullback is the symptom, right? The cause is supply.
Yeah, that's right. Well, once those peaks hit and you have a $2 million sale, all of a sudden the people who are in them for $50, $100, $200, $300,000 say, I want to sell mine. And each successive one, comes down. But the point for this, guys, is make sure you're paying attention to that, because there's a huge difference between 1.956 and 1.47, almost a $500,000 difference. And from a percentage standpoint, the difference is less than 25%, but still, that's a big percentage. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, the BGS 10 pristine Bowman Chrome rookie for Tom Brady, right? We all know this card, the 2000 Bowman Chrome with the awesome borders, pristine BGS 10, gorgeous card, currently trading on Collectable for $45,000. One sold last night, also BGS 10 on PWCC auction. Collectable has $45,000. Do you want to take a guess what it sold for on PWCC last night?
29.
26.4.
I think BGS anything is losing steam. I think BGS 10s for sure. I think people want BGS at a discount, not a premium.
Well, I mean, a 10 I think still carries more weight than than PSA 10, but not a huge amount.
Here's the issue, right? Collecting is hard enough in and of itself. Having to kind of solve for how much is my BGS 10 premium going to hold value, and being right on the player makes it infinitely harder. Where if you just go SGC, if you go PSA, you know what you're getting. You know you're not losing value. You're probably going to gain some value just for the name, for the brand.
Yep. So, I mean, just continuing with Brady, not as huge of a difference. Obviously, those two were large differences, the Chrome BGS 10. There was also a Brady SP Authentic out of 1250 PSA 10, currently trading at $150,403 on Collectable. One ended last night on PWCC for $114. So also a difference there, 114 versus 150. Not as big of a difference is the basket of the Contenders rookie auto BGS 9. There's a one on Collectable. There's 2 of them trading at $90,000 each. The basket's $180. One sold last night, also BGS 9 for $84,000. So real close to the 90 average, but 84 basket would be 168 as opposed to the 180. That's a little closer. That one I wouldn't be too scared about, but it is the 4th Brady, and all of the sales, the comps from last night's PWCC were less than what Brady is trading at. It just shows a Brady trend that there's a little bit of a pullback on Brady's cards. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. One, huge run-up. 2, people focus on NBA playoffs, baseball starting, not exactly on football right now. When you layer that into, Brady has had a significant run-up. It's just something I just want everyone to kind of keep an eye on.
If you guys do see pullbacks, I think there's some opportunity to buy, though. Brady is Jordan still playing. You rarely get that opportunity, and sometimes you don't need to overthink it.
Yep.
That's where I sit with Brady.
Yeah.
You want me to wrap with the in-app early access and the IPOs?
Sure.
Do you have any other plays, things that you've seen that are a little out of whack?
No, we're on the comps. I mean, the stuff that I like that Marino one. Floyd Mayweather, if you're a Mayweather guy, like if he's going to be boxing again, that's down another 15%. That asset has only had 2 positive trading weeks since the beginning of the year. If he comes out and announces a fight, or there's going to be something else that comes out there, you can easily have one of those like turnaround weeks where it just bounces 50% on it. I'm not
talk about that though.
Yeah, shoot.
Because yes, that could happen, but there's 2 things. I actually think the fights long-term take away from his legacy. They're kind of cheap and people know it.
Okay.
I don't think people like Mayweather that much either. even if he comes out and announces a fight, you do get a little bit of an upside, but I still think there's more downside than upside with Mayweather.
Very, very possible. And most people seem to agree with that. I just think, when we've seen assets taking the Mayweather, the card, just chart wise, when we've seen assets do that kind of almost straight downward trade, we saw it with almost all the baseball cards, Seager, you name it. When you have that steady, anything, like any small thing, just boom. I don't want to call it a dead cat bounce or anything like that, but when you see something that's been in the red for that long, I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of a green week on it just for somebody who's getting in it. But yeah, there's a lot of exclusive in-app early access stuff.
In 2 positive weeks this year?
Yeah, for the whole year so far, which is, interesting stuff. Before you get into what's coming new, there were a couple of sales that are, relevant for the, the stuff that's coming out to market. Not exactly, full-on comps, but there is the 16 Bowman Gold Refractor Tatis Jr. that's coming to the market. The gold's out of 50, just, so that everybody kind of knows it's not exactly the same, but an orange out of 25 of the same 2016 Bowman Chrome. Now, it was a 10-10, Gemmin 10-10 auto, which obviously sells for a lot, but the orange of the same card sold for $144,000 last night on PWCC. The early access for the gold refractor, which is not out of 25, it's out of 50, is only with a valuation of $55,000. So that's on there. Also, Juan Soto, this is the same card. BGS 9.5 of his 2016 Bowman Chrome Orange refractor. That's the one that's out of 25. There is one in early access with a trading price of $130,000. That was pegged completely accurately because the same card, same BGS 9.5 with a 10, sold last night PWCC for $132,000. So right on where it's at for the the early access. Just wanted to give those before you run through the early access on those because they literally just had comps, either the same card or a very close card, end with PWCC last night. Shoot.
So first, 2 IPOs that are just actually incredible that has tough shares remaining. So the 1951 Mickey Mantle MLB debut ticket stub, PSA authentic, which, I mean, how many of those can possibly be out there in circulation, That's incredible. 111,000 with only 27% retained. There's 31% remaining. And here's an interesting one. The 03 Nadal Net Pro Elite Glossy PSA 10, 28,000 market cap with 35% retained, 18% remaining. Both very interesting. Both ones that I have a passion for. I think Nadal is going to go down as the greatest after this year, or when he kind of separates himself in title contention and Grand Slams. And Mickey Mantle MLB debut ticket, just insane. So I'm going to run through the early access quickly because there's a million of them.
Yep.
So 1911 George Vezina, you know who that is? George
Yes.
Vezina?
Yes.
PSA 7, but this is a PWCCE with 118,000 retained, 118,000 market cap. Who is this guy?
Let's just say, if you're a hockey fan, this is the Honus Wagner of hockey cards. Okay. That's about the best that I can do.
I like it
for comps on this. I am not a huge hockey guy, but I know that this is this card is one of those real difficult cards to come by. It's a similar card shape wise, for the tobacco cards made basically at the same time. It's a 1911 card. The pop is obviously a little bit more than what you have for Wagner. I'm making an interesting comparison there. There's more of these out there than there are for Wagner. But we have some hockey fans who listen to our show who own one or two of these, and they just don't come up for sale, especially in the grade here. What is the one that they have listed?
PSA 7 PWCCE.
So just for the sake of clarification, there's one single 8. There are 9 7s.
Probably the best looking 7.
And if this has got the eye appeal designation on it, then it's one of the single digits best card because there's only 9 sevens and 1 8, only 15 sixes. There's only it looks
And
like 100.
going along the lines of what we've kind of talked about, eye appeal over grade the last month or so. I haven't seen the 8, but I'm curious how PWCCE 7 compares to the 1/8 that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's good. The weird thing about this is people don't collect goalies today, and I'm pretty sure he was a goalie.
Goldberg's
Yeah.
goalie. So
he's sort of like, I said he was a Honus Wagner, but I think from stat wise, people would compare him more to like Cy Young, right? Just as far as personal collection. Oh, Wah is a good goalie comparison, but just same deal. He played for a long time, right? And I'm pretty sure the current trophy for like the league's best goalie is named after him. Like the best goalie every year gets his trophy. Anyway, I'm not a hockey guy, so
58 Americana PSA 3 Pele, 119,000. Kind of cool card. 8182 Cal Ripken Jr. game worn and signed jersey photo match to the Topps rookie card, which is kind of crazy and unique.
Wow.
Market cap of 141. 93 SP baseball unopened box, 35 of them. 120,000. I don't know what to say. We already said Tiger Woods LA Open. Charles Barkley game worn Suns jersey, 56-point career high, 151,000. We have the triple logo man Duncan Yao Dirk. We have Cody Bellinger. It's surprising to see his name on here. I wouldn't put him into. He's in good class. He's batting above his average here, so to speak. But whatever. Cody Bellinger, Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor, 26,000. Fernando Tatis. I'd rather invest in Trae Young than Bellinger. Sorry. Fernando Tatis, Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor, 55,000. Market cap Juan Soto, Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor, BGS 95, 130K. That's pricey. Topps Chrome Orange Refractor, Kylian Mbappe, 54,000.
So the 130 is the one that I just said sold last night for 132 on PWCC. So it's actually pinned right accurately. Same card. Orange out of 25, BGS 9510. You just don't like baseball.
No. You guys would be lucky to be Albert Pujols, and Albert Pujols doesn't sniff these prices.
Very valid point. Pujols doesn't have many out of 25 autos.
Fair. And Bowman Chrome, it's as much about the Bowman Chrome designation as it is about the player. So I do get it. Lewis Hamilton, PSA 9 F1 Sapphire Orange, 56K. And then Joel Embiid, first 50-point game, 76ers, market cap 37.5, game worn jersey. So not a big fan of those types, you guys know, but that's relatively cheap, 36. Not crazy.
It doesn't feel like it was long enough, but coming tomorrow, new to trading, so now actual trading on it, with a 49.5 market cap for as long as that lasts, is the Babe Ruth Babe Bows Out Type 1 photo that we talked about for quite some time. Love the photo, love that asset, and it's something that's now available for trading tomorrow. Well, depending on when you're listening to this, Monday the 18th. So that's a fun one also. And you want to talk about the Jordan basket that's coming out, IPOing on Tuesday? It's an interesting one.
Jordan Icon basket, market cap of $1 million.
2 PSA 10s.
Okay. 3
BGS 95s and 1 PSA 9. Market cap $1 million.
You can't do it like that. Because
well, they are.
You can't. It's not about the card, it's about the grade in those. How do I word it? Like the PSA 9, you can't compare that to a 10. You just can't. It's different. I know you're going to say a lot of 9s can be 10s, but they're not. And PSA knows that. And that PSA 10 designation, 300 and change, you're never going to see more than 350 of those. They're going to load up on 9s. It's It's going to drag it down. It's that rubber band effect you talked about, Cage.
The difficult part about this is what do the 9.5 sell for now?
It's tough, dude. It depends on the subgrades. And it depends if it's like, 9 edges on that card, you'll see a lot. 10 centering is incredible,
So give me a range. Give me a low and a high for the BGS 9.5s. 50 to 70?
60 to 110, probably.
60 to 110. Okay, so let's just use 110. All right? And how about the PSA 10s?
240.
So we've seen 240, 250. Let's just call it 275 to be on the high end for right now. So you got 2 times 275 is 550. If I give you all of the 9.5s at 110, that's 550 and 330. It's 880. How much is a PSA 9?
300,000.
No, PSA 9. 20 grand?
330,000.
330,000. It would have to be to make the $1 million, is I guess
That's
what
what
you're saying.
I'm doing.
So, I mean, even if it's 20, you're low, you're shy of that 1 million market cap. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that IPO on Tuesday. Don't get me wrong. If the Jordans start drying up, the PSA 10s start drying up, and they're $400,000 or $500,000 again themselves, this basket becomes a play.
Right. It's the 2 Jordan 10s that are really driving most of them.
So there we go. You buying the Trae Young game worn and signed sneakers that come out on Wednesday?
No, because I told you he sucks. He only shows out against bad teams, and then a team with defense that could throw different guys at him. He struggles. 1 for 12. Ew, putrid. 8 points. And that's another episode.
Thanks, everybody.